Welcome to In It to Win It. This is Steve Barton, and thank you for tuning in. We're here for Monday Market Moves, what happened last week in the markets, and what I expect for next week. A little bit of housekeeping. We are interviewing Lobo, Tiggre, and Adrien next week, so make sure you submit your questions for them under the Community tab. And for World Classroom Plus members, we will be doing a Q&A with Rick on Halloween this week, so submit your questions over in the Rule Classroom. Alrighty, let's go to the charts. Starting out as always with the S&P 500. Okay, so a couple of trend lines I drew here. I got these from Lance Roberts, in his weekly recap with Adam Taggart every week. And kind of compelling here. I mean, it does kind of look like we've got a little bit of a break to the downside. So when you have like a pennant like this coming up, you basically just string these points out, and then whenever the points cross is when you will have a resolution one way or the other. And usually it's kind of violent when well, not super violent, but it's a breakout up or down. And it looks like we've broken down before we've gotten to that point. So bias for next week is to the downside. It is down 1% for the week and did not hit a new all-time high this week. The dollar is up 0.8% for the week. This one kind of surprised me last week. So if we zoom in here to this bar, I would say so this was the bar that we had on Friday. I would say that about 70% of the time when you have it hit that 200 moving average and then go down like that and close lower, it's going to be going down the next day. It did not. It shot up. And this is what I failed to notice fundamentally. The ECB cut 25 basis points on this day right here, the 17th. So I think it makes up 57.6%. It's either 57.6% or 56.7. Maybe somebody can check. I'm going off of memory here, but that's what I wrote. Anyways, they cut rates. So when such a big part of what the dollar is compared against gets weaker, then the dollar gets stronger, and this little purple line doesn't mean squat, and it shot to the upside. So what's interesting about this is we've got some of our own rate cuts coming up here soon. So I think initially the dollar's probably going to go up next week. We got some resistance at 104.50. I really think it'll at least touch that, possibly go through it a little bit up to almost 105. But coming up in the next couple of weeks, I expect the dollar to get weaker. 10-year yield minus the 2-year yield. We are still above into normal times. We might actually get a correction here and then come back down. Although, we have a pretty strong bounce right there that happened at the beginning of October. Bias for me is that it's going to stay above this zero line. Maybe 70% of the time it stays above the zero line, and the other 30% of the time it actually breaks down below it and does something kind of like maybe like what we saw in here we go. This was in the 2007. See how it went above the line here and then came back down for a little bit and then back up. It did the same thing in 1989. But look at this one out the dot-com bubble. It just shot up and went through it and never looked back. But so I think it's 70% of the time it's probably going to shoot through, and we're never getting back down below the zero line for, until the next cycle. Maybe 30% of the time we have some kind of repeat like that where it goes down below. All right, and the 1-month Treasury paying 4.75%. So this is going to go down here soon, and we're going to it's going to be getting cheaper here because they have their meeting in 10 days. And right now, if we go to our friends over at the CME tool, 95% of traders think that they're going to drop 25 basis points come their next meeting November 2nd. And then when we go out to December 18th, 75% think that they're going to drop another 25 basis points thereafter that. So kind of exciting. And the way I think we can play this, and we might have another little moment here. My timing was terrible on this VGIT, these intermediate bonds before. It's not as bad as it looks, I guess. I mean, like from the top one here down to there, that's only 2.5%. It looks a little more dramatic than it is. But I think over the next couple of days, I'm going to try to catch this right here on the 200 moving average. Although if 95% of traders think that they're going to raise it, This might already be baked into the cake, and I may be proving once again that I'm not a bond trader. Gold is up, what is it, 0.9% for the week. Got another new all-time high for the week, $2,772 per ounce, and a higher weekly close. So pretty cool. GDX divided by the metal itself, the miners underperformed gold by 4.5%. Gold divided by the S&P 500, gold outperformed by 1.8% there. So the metal outperforming the S&P 500. Ratio is now 0.474. So climbing, just waiting to get up above that 50% mark. And when we can sustain above that, not a little blip like these back here, but sustain above that, gold will be off to the races. GDX divided by the S&P 500 underperformed by 2.75%. So it shot down there largely because of Newmont. Newmont is over 14% of the GDX. So we'll go into that here shortly. GDXJ divided by the S&P 500 underperformed by only 0.9%. And that's largely because Newmont and Barrick are not in it. CEF is up 0.9%. Performing well for air quotes here, physical gold and silver. 1/3 of the bet is silver, 2/3 of this bet is gold, basically pallets of gold and silver sitting in a warehouse that you can buy shares into. GDX down 3.7% for the week. So kind of trading in this channel right here. Pretty exciting. I think any, approaches down here of this upward channel trend line, maybe first initial bet down here around 38. Are kind of interesting entry points, and then stink bids down here at 36. GDXJ, same kind of thing. Looks like a channel right here towards the upper end of it. That could have been a time to trim around 55, 56 bucks. Basically, I think we've got, possible upside on this thing to 56 here, maybe even up around 60 if this does well. But my bias for these is generally going to be, I think gold probably has a little bit more left in it. And if that's the case, these should go up. But maybe a bit of an anomaly here because they had some bad earnings with and bad news with Barrick and bad earnings with Newmont. This chart to me looks like we're going to go down, but kind of with the fundamentals of gold right now, I think it's probably going to go up. All right, and Franco, Nevada is up 2.6% for the week. So move this line up to 137. That's going to be our next resistance up there. I'm not trimming anything on this. I want to see 3,000 gold, 3,400 gold before I take any profits in this thing. I think this is going to do really well in the gold bull market. But as far as buy points, just like we've been talking about for 8 months or whatever, anywhere around this 200 moving average right here. Now we're finally rising on this 200 moving average, but technicals are way too stretched for any buys here. We want to see it sell back down. And wheat and precious metals down 0.5% for the week. I just drew this up here at 70. I mean, we had a new all-time high here up here at 68 and change. But pretty stretched technicals. Looks like we might have a little bit of correction coming. Quite a bit of support around 52.50. Gold Royalty Corporation down 2.7% for the week. Got quite a bit of support around $1.20, $1.21. So hit on the 200 moving average last week and then came back down. Origin Royalties down 5.7% for the week. Down for the week, but still looking fantastic. I think anywhere, any entries around this 50 moving average or this upward channel trend line right here, this green one, I think would be prudent entry points. And Barrick Gold, okay, down 6.2% for the week. So the Mali government is threatening to not renew their permit, and so that's a little concerning here. Got this from mining.com. Mali threatens to let Barrick mine permit lapse over dispute. Mali's military government has threatened to take Barrick Gold Corporation's Lobo mine concession when the current permit expires in 2026 amid an escalating dispute over how to divide the economic benefits from operations in the country. Basically, they want to steal more. Mali is considering letting the permit for Lobo lapse when it expires in February 2026. A letter sent to Barrick's Chief Executive Officer, Mark Bristow, and seen by Bloomberg, Mali reserves the right not to renew the operating permit and invited Barrick to talks on the mine's transition phase starting later this month. So they want more. They haven't, they'll probably get it. This is just my suspicion, but I don't think that they're going to shut the mine down or nationalize it. I think what they'll do is they'll just steal just a little bit more than they're stealing right now. And Newmont, story of the week, down 16% for the week. So this, I think, is kind of interesting. I know the vast majority of people watching this show was buying this just like we were when this was down in the low 30s. And so this really means, pretty much nothing. We'll just take the mid-range of this right here. And yeah, you were up 90%, right, at the start of last week. And now you're only up 56, Crimea River. Basically what happened here, I think it overshot. Okay. So, they thought that they were going to make 86 cents a share, and they actually only made 81, 6% off. They thought that they were going to pull in 4.67 billion in revenue, and they only pulled in 4.6, down 1%. So I think this overshot. One of the guys in the Rule Classroom was talking about taking an option on this, and I may actually do the same thing. We'll see what it looks like tomorrow, but I really think this overshot here. Agnico Eagle is up 0.8% for the week. Still got pretty stretched technicals. I mean, RSI is 65. We don't want to buy anything here. If anything, you should be trimming your position. First level of support that I see that has any real credence is going to be around 77, although I still wouldn't be buying there. But 73 looks pretty good for a limit order. And B2 Gold down 2.9% for the week. The Mali news probably didn't help very much with that. After a run like the last couple of weeks, this totally normally have a little pullback. Resistance is going to be around where we are now, $3.40. Pretty good support down here at $2.85. And Equinox Gold down 2.1% for the week. So if we got Adrien Day coming back on, we can ask him about this one and a lot of these other gold companies here. He follows them religiously, so make sure you get your questions in for that. Still got my limit order in down here for $5.35. Looking kind of like Greenstone, might be some shakeup here in Equinox as far as management goes. Well, interesting to see what Ross Beatty does. But I might actually be lowering this. I think we might have a little bit more selling pressure in here. And G Mining Ventures. Robert says the Monday market move was G Mining Ventures. You're absolutely right. Up 12.2% for the week. Amazing. They filed their 43-101 for Oko West. You'll remember it's that project that they got, when was that? Back in May, June, July. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, so pretty exciting. They're moving forward with that. Like that a lot. If you want to find the next company like this one, I mean, look at this. We found out about this from the Rule Classroom back here when it was $4 and now it's $9. Okay, we've had more than a double in this thing. Then join us at the Rule Classroom. It's free, loads of content. We've got over 9,000 members strong. And Rick just had a Q&A with Albert where he took student questions. Some of the ones they asked about were Pan American Silver, Sandstorm, I-80, Newmont, Southern Copper, Equinox, and their Greenstone deposit that I was just talking about, just to name a few. So join the Rule Classroom. You can watch that for free and watch the replay of that. And after that, if you're a serious investor, join us at the Rule Classroom Plus. This coming week on Wednesday, we've got Joe Mazumdar again, and Rick and I will be doing a Q&A. I'll be taking your questions and asking Rick himself on Halloween, October 31st, 2:30 p.m. Pacific time, 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. And just like always, the episode will be posted so you can watch it as many times as you want. The Rule Classroom Plus is $30 a month. And we'll be pulling the questions from the Rule Classroom Plus, not from this channel. Links are in the pinned comment below. I hope to see you there. And Rio 2 is up 3.3% for the week. These have now become stink bids, which are probably not going to happen unless we get a recession or a downturn in gold. So fingers crossed that gold goes down to 2,300. And silver is up 1.6% for the week. It hit $35 for a hot minute, super exciting, and then came back down. So last time it hit 35 bucks or was in 35 bucks was 12 years ago. This is the highest weekly close in 12 years. I thought it'd go down last week, but was delighted to see that it didn't. Although this week I do think we go down, and I don't think we're going to hit 35 again for probably, I don't know, maybe another month or so. I think we're going to have some downside here in silver. Gold divided by silver is 81.5 to 1. I think gold will outperform silver, so I think the ratio will get a little bit higher, kind of coming into a little Fibonacci here. Not exact, but kind of decently there. I mean, we got some low RSI 33. We had that on, what was that, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then it shot up. So I think this ratio will get a little bit more expanded. SIL is up 2.8% for the week. I said last week that if you want to take profits, I think now is the time. I still think you have an opportunity to do this. If silver goes down, this is going to go down even further. And then as far as limit orders, maybe a starter position if you don't have any around 35, and then a bigger position down here around 31.50. SILJ down 1% for the week. So it hit our target line up here of 15. I took some profits up here. I don't probably have as much of this one as I should. I have a lot of more Silvercrest, so I didn't take profits here. But if you've been buying into this one like we were back here at $8, I mean, you've had almost a double. I think you really got to pay yourself at some point. Then if you want some, starter position I see would be like $11.50. And Pan American Silver up 1.3% for the week. So you'll remember that we originally had our first sell order for this one at $24. I pulled that and then moved the first sell order up here to 28. That's going to be about a 5 or 7% position sell if it gets up there. We'll see. I think silver is going to correct down here, so we might not hit that yet this upward cycle. And Fortuna Silver Mines down 1.3% for the week. I think limit orders down here around the 200 moving average, which is showing right now at $4.41. I've got the green line right here at $4.25. Actually, what we might need to do on this one is draw kind of like an upward channel trend line like that. Maybe any approaches towards this white line might be interesting entry points. And SILV, Silvercrest, down 2.7% for the week, past the point of concern on this. I mean, when we zoom out on this thing, this kind of looks like a perfect Lassonde curve, doesn't it? Like catching the sweet spot right here, the Lobo Tiggre pre-production sweet spot in this one. I mean, you guys can see that. And boom, this is when you're supposed to buy right down here. Love that. Love that. Endeavor Silver, man, this one absolutely killed it. Up 12.5% for the week. Had a nice breakout here. So last week we drew this as the resistance line, $4.80. Blew through that. Now what I see is it may be trading kind of somewhere in this channel here over the next little while. We'll see what silver does. But pretty exciting for Endeavor Silver. And copper, paging Dr. Copper, down 0.3% for the week. Bias for copper for the next week is sideways to down. One caveat here is we've got the 50 moving average right there and the 200 right below it. So if it continues to ride this 50 moving average, I'll be wrong and this will go up. But I think we're probably going to be going down. I mean, this downward sloping RSI, it looks like we got a little bit more room to at least go sideways, probably down. And COPX down 1.7% for the week. Don't really see any discernible patterns here other than maybe it'll get caught here by the 50 and the 200. Looks kind of similar to the commodity itself. COPJ down only 0.9%. Interesting that the juniors are down less than the majors, but it is so. Yeah, I just like limit orders here still around 21 and then 1950. And Freeport down 3.3% for the week. Kind of went into the weeds here, but it looks like, if you want a starter position in this one, I see it around $45, and we'll call it 80 to 90 cents. Got a golden cross right here on the daily, the 50 moving above the 200-day moving average. A nice gap down right here, so I think that could be an interesting starting position. And then down at $40 for a pretty good sized limit order. Excuse me. Arizona Metals down 9% for the week. I've reached out for the third time to Arizona Metals, and now I'll give them one more phone call, leave another message. Hopefully they answer, and really want to schedule Duncan, but at least talk to him on the phone. I'm surprised that they haven't jumped at the opportunity to for some free advertisement, to come on the show. It's a small market cap company. I think that's one of their major, handicaps is publicity, and they got an opportunity for free publicity, and they're not taking advantage of it. So I don't know. I'll talk with Peter about this one as well here coming up soon. Manduro Capital is up 4.2% for the week. I think if you want a piece of this company, now is a decent time. Maybe a limit order of 13 cents. I got in down here a while ago at 11.7 cents, and then have one more limit order down here at 9 cents. The risk is if BHP hits an amazing drill hole, this thing's going to be off to the races and you won't get it. But, hasn't really come yet. Probably you probably got time. And I will also be out at the New Orleans Investment Conference, November 20th through 23rd. Brian London has been nice enough to give us a spot on the media row. I'll be interviewing a lot of the speakers and the companies that we own. There's going to be Gold Royalty Corporation is going to be out there. We are going to have Silvercrest Metals will be out there. What else is going to be out there? We're going to have Uranium Energy Corporation. I'm pretty excited about this one. This will be my fourth conference, and some pretty amazing speakers here. We got Adam Taggart, Adrien Day, Albert Liu's going to be out there, Brent Johnson, Byron King, David Morgan, the Silver Guru, Danielle DiMartino Booth, George Gammon, James Grant. Super excited. Lobo Tiggre is going to be out there. Rick Rule, of course, he'll be advertising Battle Bank, and then we got Tavi Costa showing up virtually. So really excited about that. We're going to have our own booth, so be sure to stop by the booth and say hi. I would love to meet you in person, possibly share an adult beverage. There is a link in the pinned comment below. I hope to see you guys there, and thank you for using that link. That supports my family and my work. Uranium is down 2.5% for the week. Still above $80 because I've drawn this heavy white support line right here. So that's exciting. And we have this is U308 divided by gold. So uranium divided by gold, and we can see that gold has just been outperforming uranium. Uranium has been underperforming gold here. I think we got a pretty interesting sweet spot. So I got this from the guys over at Silver Chartist. Those guys are pretty phenomenal technicians. I don't get anything out of this, but I always put their link down in the notes to join us over there. But man, if you want to, if someone told me right now, I'm selling some of my PHYS and buying SRUUF, I would not fault you at all for that, right? Maybe even time it a little bit better and sell PHYS kind of next week, and then hang on to that cash for a little bit and then put it into SRUUF, the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, when you get a little bit more of a discount. Right now, the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust is trading at what is it here? Let me pull it up, and bam, it's trading at a 4.6% discount to NAV, but we want to be buying this thing when it's at like a 12% or more discount. They did add some uranium lately, so we are up to 66.1 million pounds of uranium. That is a third of the planet's demand sitting in a warehouse, unavailable to the utilities. Absolutely fantastic. I'm very bullish on this. I think holding this fund physical uranium going into the recession is going to be a really nice place to store cash. We just want to make sure that we buy it at a healthy discount. And with gold at all-time highs, we can trade some of that physical gold for physical uranium. So putting our money where our mouth is, buying at discounts, selling at premium, and then we will be buying at discounts again when it gets back down to this white line, which it inevitably will. Cameco down 7.3% for the week. Don't see any buys right here. See how high the RSI got up there? It got up to 83 on the daily. You know, we want to see this come back down. We want it to get back down in here. See how it got way down to 23. I don't know if we'll get down there again, but you know, anywhere around 44, 41, somewhere in this range down here, I think would make for nice limit orders. First level of support is going to be around $47, which is the 200 and the 50 moving average, and the 100 there, speak of it. Kazatomprom down 3% for the week. So we had Justin Hune on the show last week, and we went pretty deep into Kazatomprom and the risks. You know, is our government going to say that it's uninvestable like they did with Gazprom? A possible nationalization, you know, because Kazakhstan taking over Kazatomprom. You know, what if the state took over and bought out shareholders? What would happen? What would happen to URNM in each of those scenarios? So if you missed our interview with Justin Hune, we'll put a link right up here and you can check it out. Got a lot of positive feedback on that one, and I learned a lot. URA is down 5.4% for the week. So I sold my entire position of URA. It was only about, what was it? It was about 1% of my total portfolio, not my uranium portfolio, my total portfolio. So not a huge position. This was the first uranium bet that I ever made back in September of 2021, and up pretty nicely for 3 years, about 50% or so. I basically don't want to own this one anymore because only about 70% of this is uranium, and the other 30% are random companies like Sibanye, Stillwater, Mitsubishi, you know, companies like that I think Samsung's actually in there. So companies that aren't necessarily pure uranium plays. And I would rather rotate this money into SRUUF leading into the recession, or possibly URNM as more of a pure play. Okay, so URNM is down 6.5% for the week. So it didn't quite reach our target up here of $59.60 for our first exit point. Well, first exit point since, I don't know, a year ago. But hitting right here on the 200-day moving average. So that may offer some support, but I think these uranium equities are probably going to go down next week as well. URNJ down 7.7% for the week. Probably should have taken profits where we drew this line at 26.50. Hindsight's 2020. I can see straight looking backwards. Hitting right on the 200 moving average, just like URNM. I think that probably more downside for next week. URNM divided by uranium itself underperformed 4.2% for the week. So in other words, the miners lost more than the metal. URNJ divided by the two majors and the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust underperformed 2.4% this week. So hitting kind of right around this this trend line right here. So we'll see if it breaks the up or downside on that. I think we're going to be going down next week. And Uranium Royalty Corporation is down 2.7% for the week. So pretty good support down here around $2.50, around that 200-day moving average. Pretty major resistance up there at $3.25. Some people watch the Qs. We watch the Us, down 9.8% for the week. So pretty good resistance up here at $6.50. Got initial support at the 200-day moving average around $6, and got some pretty major support down here at $4.30, although I don't think it'll get there. Also got some support at $5.25, so that might make for an interesting limit order. And Uranium Energy Corporation down 8.6% for the week. Uranium Energy Corporation is acquiring Rio Tinto's Wyoming uranium assets, so that's exciting. I think this one's going to be amazing. for American investors. No buys right now. The time to buy was back here when we had the double bottom, just like the other uranium equities. Super stretched technicals. I mean, look at that. It got all the way up, 81 on the RSI. But coming back down at 61, we want to see a correction here before we make an entry. And oil is up 4.5% for the week for crude. Brent for WTI, sorry. Brent is down 0.1% for the week. Bias for both of these is upward for next week. And gold divided by oil is 38 to 1. So it takes 38 barrels of oil to buy 1 ounce of gold. XLE is down 0.6% for the week. So got some pretty interesting support right here, right around the 200 and the 50 moving average. Although technicals are middle of the road, 48 RSI, we want to wait for this to get sold off. I really like a set it and forget it limit order of 83 on this one. And Exxon Mobil down 0.4% for the week. So down from all-time highs a couple of weeks ago, up at 126. Kind of settling on this little yellow line that we drew a while ago. So, you know, first starter position, if you don't have anything in ExxonMobil and you want something in the best oil company on the planet, this would be your first entry point. And then after that, this next green one, 114 and then 109. I love this software, TradingView. I would have absolutely no idea how to cherry pick these bottoms here and when to sell if it wasn't for this software. I know you guys are liking it too because you're using the link, and thank you for that. It doesn't cost you any extra, and it supports my family and my work. I love getting your guys' emails and your tweets. You know, there's 10,000 of you and there's one of me. I'm not going to see every setup here. So I love getting your guys' points of view and, you know, helping me find these spots on the charts. You can try it out free for 30 days with the link in the notes below. And there's absolutely no obligation. If you don't like it, it was free. Chevron was flat for the week. I really like here entries. We're going to go to the weekly time frame here for the next two. So I really like entries here for Chevron along this rising 200 weekly moving average. So anywhere around there, that's going to be in the low 140s. And then Occidental, same thing. Any entries around 50, 51 for Occidental. You know, just this rising 200 weekly moving average, I think looked pretty compelling. So Occidental was almost flat. It was down 0.2% for the week. So basically the same thing for both of those. And Ecopetrol. Last week I mentioned that Rick was a fan of Ecopetrol. I misspoke. I'm not sure which company I was thinking, or I mixed that up with. Dustin from the Rule Classroom member pointed that out. And thank you, Dustin. I appreciate that. Anyhow, I went back and actually listened to what he said. And he said basically there's quite a bit of political risk with this one. But the dividends are pretty fragile. So we may not be able to, I mean, check out these dividends, 19%. He said basically they're putting too much money into the dividends and not enough investing back into the company and exploration. So anyways, just a correction there for Ecopetrol of last week. And Blackstone Minerals is down a third of 1%. Now, I love these moments here when we get dividends coming up in Blackstone Minerals because they're pretty, what's the word, like predictable as far as price action here. I mean, look at where the dividends are and what happens afterwards. So these yellow arrows are options that we've run before. And last dividend, we ran an option. And at dividends coming up November, when is it? November 8th. And so I think we're possibly going to get another setup here for dividends. Doesn't always work. I mean, look at this dividend here. I mean, could have caught it a moment in time and got rid of it right away, but I got a feeling, knowing me, it probably would have gone sideways and I wouldn't have sold out initially. But we might get another setup here with an option. So definitely going to keep our eyes on that. Will be kind of interesting because it's around the election time. I don't know if that'll have an effect or not. And Freehold Royalties up 0.1% for the week. Great dividend. Drew these two lines right here, the lines that have been here forever. $13.50 pays you an 8% dividend, and $13 pays you an 8.3% dividend. So if you're looking for some stable return, place to put your capital, I think this is pretty interesting for Canadians. Natural bias for oil next week is up. Natural gas up 13.3% for the week. Man, hit that 200 moving average. Thought it was going to go down below it. Did not. Bounced up. Pretty incredible. Bias for next week for natural gas is up. Moment in time here for Devon Energy. If I think this is probably the #1 natural gas play for Americans. If you have no position in this thing, look at it like anything below $40 is a steal. And we close the week at 39.19. So I've got a lot of Devon right here, but I couldn't help myself and put in another limit order for $38. So I hope it hits. Woodside Energy down 2.1% for the week. Might be coming into a double bottom right here. 1550 would be the limit order. And Birchcliff down 3.5% for the week. So kind of interesting. I'm drawn. I might have to update these dividend amounts. I'm not sure. With this one in Pato, I haven't done them in a while, but it's around there. It's around 6-7%. I mean, pretty good. Next limit order for Birchcliff is going to be $3.55. The way this chart is going, we might actually get there. I might have to up it just slightly, but hopefully it gets down to there. And Pato, the other Canadian natural gas, is up 1.4% for the week, hit right on the 200-day moving average and shot up right there. And again, I mean, pretty incredible dividends, 8.5% right there. Got a limit order in here for $10.65, and then a back up the truck at $9.75. And coal is, thermal coal is kind of towards the upward part of this channel right here, closed the week at 148. And met coal, middle of the road here. If the floor is 185 and the ceiling is 230, closed at 203. So bias for coal next week is basically going to be sideways for both of them. The coal ETF is down 0.6% for the week. So now only 10.5 million assets under management and 470,000 shares still. Got a limit order, moved it up to $20. It was down at 18. I moved it up to 20. I think that's a little bit more realistic. Glencore down 1.9% for the week. Still got our limit orders in down here for $9.40. I hope they hit. AMR is pretty exciting, down 1.6% for the week. So getting a little more sell-off. I moved this limit order. It was at 185. I moved it up to 186. Kind of getting into the weeds here, but I think coal's probably going to move sideways. Hopefully some of the equities move down a little bit and we get one final bet here on AMR. BTU Peabody down 2% for the week. Kind of interesting. We have a golden cross right here. So I know you've been talking about golden crosses here, David. This may be one for you, but I wouldn't necessarily play this one as like, that BTU is going to go up. I like looking at all these golden crosses as like they're just one piece of the puzzle. It's one thing. Just like declining RSI is one thing, just like, running a retracement here is one thing. I mean, this could definitely come back down to the 50% retracement or the 61.8% retracement. It's just one metric that we look at these golden crosses. But anyhow, interesting to note. I missed the put on this one, but I want to see this come back down and play this Charlie Brown pattern back down here around 21 or 21.50. And then I will go long again on BTU. And platinum is up 1.2% for the week, now above the rising 200-day moving average. 900 has a lot of support, tapped on resistance up here at 1,050. And PPLT, the way to bet on in the stock market, up 0.6% for the week. So if you're looking for a starter position in this one, I think $85 is the place to do it. And then a stink bid down at 80. And Palladium, this one is pretty exciting. Okay, so I had to move up this resistance line up here to 1250. So that's pretty cool, up 10.9% for the week. So the USA was talking of sanctioning Russian palladium, and that would be pretty smart by our American big thinkers because Russia produces a lot of platinum group metals and we produce almost none at all. although we need more than Russia does to make catalytic converters. So that's kind of exciting. We'll show them just like we did with icing them out of the Swiss system. So anyhow, I see no entries right here on this. You know, the time to get into these was back here when they were cheap. Hopefully they come back down. Maybe we get a recession and there's less demand for catalytic converters and we'll get another shot at this. Although the news flow right now on platinum and palladium is that Russia is done selling those into the market and now they're actually buyers of them. So if that's true, I think we've seen our bottom in the PGMs. PALL is up 9.6% for the week. Again, I don't see any buys on this or anything. You know, high technicals and everything, but stink bid down here at 80. Maybe an entry position, you know, if you don't have any, around like 95 or something for a limit order. And SPPP, this is looking fantastic. So really like these limit orders back here of $9. And I guess that's because now I can actually see the future and that it has happened, up almost at $11. Next resistance is going to be $11.25. And I just like pulling these up just to illustrate why we're doing this. And this is platinum divided by gold, absolutely cheap. I mean, if this goes back to 2 to 1 or even 1 to 1, we're going to make a boatload of money. Right now, you can, it is almost 3 ounces of platinum for 1 ounce of gold. And down here is same story with silver, platinum divided by silver, 30 ounces of silver for 1 ounce of platinum. If this goes to 60, that's a double. If it goes to 90, it's a triple. I mean, a 120 is a quadruple, and 150, which has happened and is possible, is you know, a 5x. I mean, that would just be awesome. And so bias for the PGMs next week is up. And nickel futures, nickel is down 4.4% for the week. So we got resistance up here at 17,900, support down here at 15,700, which we're just about at. Bias for nickel next week is down. And NIKL, our favorite nickel ETF, down 1.9% for the week. Centaurus Metals is down 5.3% for the week. So resistance up here at 38 cents and support down here at 21. We got some initial support right here around the 200 moving average. So that could be like a starting position around 27, 28 cents. And iron ore down 1% for the week. Bias for next week for iron ore is slightly down. BHP down 1.2% for the week. So we're getting into the point here for BHP where we're coming into the buy zone, right? Maybe around 55. Let's wait a little bit more for this RSI to get sold off just a little bit. I want to try to catch these moments when they pay these dividends here. You know, they only come twice a year. I think I said last week, thank you, Joe. I said I said biannual. What I actually meant was semi-annual. They pay twice a year, not once every 2 years. Thank you for that. But, you know, I think generally speaking, if you just buy this thing kind of in between 52 and 55, you'll be happy long term. Rio Tinto down 0.1% for the week. Basically any buys at 60s and then sell kind of at this white downward channel trend line, and I think you'll have a good time. And our favorite pick ETF for these metals and mining producers, coming into an interesting buy point right here. You know, you might have a bit of a retracement. I mean, it's got to go down just a little bit more, but the 50% retracement hits right on that yellow line that I drew at $40. So that could be your starter position. And then down here would be the back up the truck at 36.25. And Nutrien is up 0.2% for the week. So fertilizer, things like potash, and which way do I see on this? I didn't write which way I was going to bias on this. I think it'll get caught by the 50 moving average here and probably bounce just a little bit. But as far as limit orders here, down at, what is that, $45, and resistance is up at 52. And Bitcoin, as of this moment, is up 0.6% for the week. Now it's 60. It jumped a few thousand here. Okay, 67,000 for Bitcoin. Man, I don't know. Raul says, I agree with everything you say, except don't be too skeptical of Bitcoin. It really is sound money. I agree with you, Raul. My fear is that governments are going to, say that we can't do it, and then it'll become on the black market. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope this is the people's money, and we can trade this and use this as much as we want. But I'm not sure that's the case. We'll see. I hope I'm wrong. All righty. Well, I hope you guys got something out of that. Thank you for always being here. Just a reminder, submit your questions for Adrien Day and Lobo Tiggre under the community tab. And I'll be doing a Q&A with Rick Rule in the Rule Classroom Plus. So submit your questions for Rick in the classroom. I hope to see you at the New Orleans Investment Conference and meet you in person. Links are in the pinned comment below. And thank you for using those links. I am still working on the technical analysis video. Got a busy week next week, so hopefully the week after that. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to support the show and share this with anyone that you think needs to hear it. Probably your buddy. They can't stop talking about tech stocks. You have yourself a great rest of the day, and we will talk to you next time.